Admiral Chanwei stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, watching the assembled human fleet through the massive viewscreen. 300 ships of various sizes floated in perfect formation, their hulls scarred from countless battles across the galaxy. Behind them stretched the damaged remains of Terra's orbital stations, still smoking from the Zephyrian Empire's surprise attack 6 months ago. "Final count, Admiral," reported Captain Martinez from the communications station. "We have confirmation from all fleet commanders. Every human colony, every military outpost, every trading vessel that could make the journey is here." Chen nodded slowly. For the first time in galactic history, humanity had gathered its entire military force in one place. Not for conquest or expansion, but for something far more dangerous: revenge. The Galactic Council had laughed when Earth first petitioned for membership 50 years ago. Humans were newcomers, barely crawling out of their single star system while ancient empires controlled thousands of worlds. The Zephyrians, Altoiran Confederacy, and Vrex Dominion had ruled the galaxy for millennia. They saw humans as useful slaves, nothing more. "Sir, incoming transmission from the Galactic Council chambers on Nexus Prime," announced Lieutenant Park. "Put them through," Chen replied. The screen flickered, revealing Chancellor Vexstar of the Zephyrian Empire. His elongated blue face showed typical alien arrogance, 6 eyes blinking in patterns that conveyed contempt. Behind him sat representatives from the other major powers, the insectoid Vrex Queen and the crystalline Altoiran Hegemon. "Admiral Chen," Vexstar's voice buzzed through the translator. "Your fleet's position near our border worlds is concerning. Surely you don't intend to threaten the established order over a minor incident?" Chen's jaw tightened. Minor incident. The Zephyrians had glassed 3 human colonies, killing over 2 million civilians. They called it a police action to stop human expansion into claimed territory that had been empty space for centuries. "Chancellor," Chen replied calmly, "we're here to discuss the terms of your surrender." The alien leader's laugh was like broken glass. "Surrender? You command perhaps 1,000 ships. The Zephyrian Empire alone has 10,000 vessels, and that doesn't include our allies. Your Deathworld species may be individually tough, but numbers matter in space combat." "Numbers do matter," Chen agreed. "Which is why we brought friends." On cue, space around the human fleet began to shimmer. Dozens of ships decloaked, their hulls bearing the markings of species the Council had dismissed as irrelevant. The rabbit-like Kethani appeared in sleek corvettes. Massive Gorian dreadnoughts materialized, crewed by the elephant-like people the galaxy considered too peaceful to matter. Even ships from the mysterious Shade Collective emerged from dark space. Vexstar's confident expression faltered. "What is this? How did you convince them to ally with you?" Chen smiled grimly. "We didn't conquer them, Chancellor. We helped them. When the Kethani homeworld faced plague, human doctors worked for months to find a cure. When Gorian trade ships were attacked by pirates, our marines rescued the survivors. When the Shades needed rare metals for their technology, we shared mining rights freely." The Admiral walked closer to the screen. "See, you made a mistake. You thought strength meant domination. But humans learned something different during our wars on Earth. Real strength comes from building alliances, from proving you'll stand by your friends when everything goes wrong." "This is impossible," Queen Vrez clicked in the background. "These species are weak. They have no significant military capability." "Individually, perhaps," Chen admitted. "But, working together? The Kethani are building our navigation systems. Gorian engineers are maintaining our reactors. The Shades are handling our intelligence operations. And dozens of other species are contributing what they do best." Captain Martinez approached with a datapad. "Admiral, we're receiving confirmation signals from our deep space monitoring stations." "It's beginning." Chen glanced at the report and his smile widened. "Chancellor, you're about to learn why they call us Deathworlders. It's not just because we come from a harsh planet. It's because when you threaten our home, when you hurt our people, we don't just fight back." The Admiral's eyes hardened to steel. "We make sure you never threaten anyone again." Across the galaxy, human ships emerged from hyperspace near major Zephyrian installations. Not attacking yet, just appearing like ghosts from humanity's violent past. Each group was small, seemingly insignificant compared to the massive Imperial forces. But they weren't alone. And they weren't there to play by the old rules. Fleet Commander ZYXF of the Zephyrian Third Fleet stared at his tactical display in growing confusion. The human ships had been holding position for 3 hours, making no aggressive moves despite being outnumbered 4-1. His sensors showed their weapons were powered down, shields at minimal levels. "Commander," his intelligence officer reported, "we're detecting strange energy signatures from the human vessels. It's not matching any known weapon system in our database." "Explain," ZYXF ordered, his 4 arms manipulating different control interfaces simultaneously. "Sir, it appears to be some kind of broadcast array. They're transmitting data packets throughout our space on multiple frequencies." Before ZYXF could respond, his communications officer spoke up urgently. "Commander, we're receiving reports from across the sector. Human ships have appeared near all our major installations. They're not attacking, but they're broadcasting something." The fleet commander's mind raced. Humans were known for their unpredictable tactics, but this made no sense. Why reveal their positions without striking? Jam their transmissions immediately. "Sir, we've tried. The signals are cycling through frequencies faster than our systems can block them." "And, Commander." The officer paused nervously, "we're getting reports of civil unrest on several worlds." "What kind of unrest?" Another console chimed with an incoming priority message. The face of Governor Peltaxer appeared on screen, his usually composed demeanor cracked with panic. Behind him, smoke was visible through his office windows. "Commander, you must send troops to Zephyr Prime immediately. The slave populations are rioting. They've somehow coordinated simultaneous uprisings across 12 industrial districts." ZYXF felt his blood chill. How is that possible? Communication between slave quarters is strictly forbidden. "I don't know. They're using some kind of hidden network we never detected." "They have weapons, Commander. Military-grade equipment that shouldn't exist in civilian areas." The transmission cut to static. Within minutes, similar distress calls flooded in from across Zephyrian space. Slave revolts on mining worlds, worker strikes at shipyards, sabotage at military installations. Always the same pattern, perfectly coordinated, well-equipped, and absolutely devastating to Imperial operations. "Sir," the intelligence officer's voice was barely a whisper, "I think I understand what the humans were broadcasting. They weren't sending attack coordinates to their ships. They were activating something that was already in place." On the mining world of Kepler 438b, former Earth Marine Sarah Kim emerged from the maintenance tunnels where she'd hidden for 3 years. Around her, 24 other humans shed their disguises as ordinary laborers and technicians. They'd volunteered for this mission after the Zephyrian attack on Earth, allowing themselves to be captured and sold into slavery to get inside Imperial installations. "Phoenix Network is active," Sarah reported into her concealed communicator. "We have control of the primary mining facility. 3,000 alien slaves are free and armed." Similar reports came from across Zephyrian territory. Hundreds of humans had infiltrated the Empire over the past 5 years, posing as refugees, slaves, or simple traders. They'd built hidden networks, stockpiled weapons, and earned the trust of oppressed populations throughout Imperial space. The galaxy's major powers had always seen humans as individually dangerous but collectively manageable. They never imagined that humans could organize something so vast, so patient, and so perfectly timed. Admiral Chen watched the tactical display as red indicators bloomed across Zephyrian space. Each light represented a successful uprising, a freed slave population, or a sabotaged military facility. In 6 hours, the mighty Zephyrian Empire had lost effective control of 40% of its territory. "Admiral, Chancellor Vexstar is requesting immediate communication," Captain Martinez announced. The alien leader's image appeared on screen, but his arrogance was gone. His 6 eyes darted nervously, and his usual perfect posture had collapsed. "Admiral Chen, what have you done? Our entire industrial base is collapsing." "What we've done," Chen replied calmly, "is show you what happens when you underestimate Deathworlders. You thought our strength was in our ships and weapons. You were wrong." The Admiral gestured to a tactical display showing the chaos engulfing Imperial space. "Our real strength is our ability to inspire others. Every species you've enslaved, every world you've oppressed, they all have one thing in common now." "What?" "Hope. They know someone is willing to fight for them. And, more importantly, they know how to fight for themselves." Another communication request chimed in. This one came from Admiral Cleth of the Vrex Dominion, the insectoid species that had been observing the situation from their border systems. Admiral Chen, Cleth's translated voice buzzed with concern. Surely you don't intend to extend this chaos to other territories. The Dominion has remained neutral in your conflict with the Zephyrians. Chen's expression hardened. Neutral? Your fleets participated in the blockade of human relief ships after the colony attacks. You sold weapons to Zephyrian forces. You think that's neutral? Before Cleth could respond, new indicators began appearing on the tactical display. This time they were in Vrex space. High General Vrexthak commanded the most powerful fleet in Dominion space from her massive bioship, a living vessel grown rather than built. Her compound eyes tracked dozens of tactical displays as reports flooded in from across Vrex territory. What she saw defied everything she understood about warfare. Human ships were appearing throughout Dominion space, but they weren't attacking military targets. Instead, they were broadcasting to civilian populations, sharing information the Dominion had spent centuries suppressing. Technical specifications for food production, medical treatments, communication systems, knowledge that would make the worker castes less dependent on their rulers. High General, her intelligence drone reported, were detecting massive data transfers to worker habitation areas. The humans are transmitting educational materials directly to civilian terminals. Block them immediately, Vrexthak ordered. We've tried, High General, but they're using quantum encrypted channels that our systems can't penetrate. The signals are reaching every worker caste settlement in the Dominion. On the industrial world of Vrex 7, drone worker ClickTH stopped her routine assembly line duties as information flooded her neural implant. For the first time in her life, she was learning about worlds beyond her factory, about species that chose their own leaders, about the possibility that workers could be more than simple tools. Around her, thousands of other drones were receiving the same revelations. The humans weren't just sharing technical data, they were explaining concepts like individual rights, democratic governance, and personal choice. Ideas that were forbidden in Dominion society. Within hours, the carefully maintained caste system began to crumble. Worker drones started asking questions their overseers couldn't answer. They demanded to know why their living conditions were so harsh while the ruling castes enjoyed luxury. Most dangerously, they began to organize. High General, we're receiving emergency broadcasts from 17 industrial worlds, the communication drone announced. Worker populations are refusing orders. Production has stopped across multiple sectors. Admiral Chen monitored the chaos spreading through both the Zephyrian Empire and Vrex Dominion from his command ship. The human strategy was working better than even his most optimistic projections. They weren't conquering territory, they were liberating minds. Sir, we're getting communication requests from the Altuiran Confederacy, Captain Martinez reported. Hegemon's RTHYSS wants to speak with you immediately. The crystalline being appeared on screen, its translucent body pulsing with agitated colors. Unlike organic species, the Alterans existed as energy patterns within crystal matrices. They'd always considered themselves superior to biological life forms. Human Admiral, ZRTHYSS's voice resonated through harmonic frequencies. The Confederacy demands an explanation for these unprovoked attacks on galactic stability. You're destroying the established order that has maintained peace for millennia. Chen laughed bitterly. Peace? You call slavery peace? You call genocide peace? The only thing your established order maintained was your power over everyone else. The natural hierarchy of species cannot be denied, the hegemon replied coldly. Some races are meant to rule, others to serve. This is the way of the universe. Maybe in your universe, Chen said. But humans learned something different. We learned that every intelligent being has the right to choose their own path. The Admiral leaned forward. And now we're teaching that lesson to everyone you've oppressed. As if summoned by his words, new alerts began flashing on the tactical display. The Phoenix network was activating in Altuiran space as well. Human agents who had spent years infiltrating Confederacy worlds began revealing themselves. On the crystal world of Altair 9, mining engineer Marcus Thompson dropped his disguise as a simple ore processor. For 4 years, he'd worked in the planet's massive crystal farms, learning the technology while secretly building resistance networks among the enslaved biological species forced to maintain Altuiran infrastructure. Network is active, he transmitted to his scattered team. initiating shutdown of primary crystal matrices. The Alterans had always believed their crystal-based technology was beyond biological understanding. They never imagined that a species from a death world could adapt quickly enough to master their systems. As human saboteurs activated hidden programs throughout Confederacy space, entire worlds went dark. Unlike the uprisings in Zephyrian and Vrex territory, the assault on Altaïran infrastructure was purely technological. Humans had spent years mapping crystal networks, learning power distribution systems, and identifying critical nodes. Now they struck with surgical precision. High General, Vrexthak's intelligence drone reported urgently, "We're receiving communications from Altaïran space. Their technology grid is collapsing. Multiple worlds have lost primary power." Hegemon's RTHYSS's crystal matrix flickered as power fluctuations swept through the Confederacy. "This is impossible. Biological minds cannot comprehend crystal technology." "You're right," Chen agreed. "A single biological mind probably couldn't. But thousands of them working together? Sharing information freely instead of hoarding it? That's something your hierarchical thinking could never imagine." The Admiral gestured to his tactical display, which now showed chaos spreading across 3 of the galaxy's 4 major empires. "You see, the difference between us isn't physical or technological. It's philosophical. You believe in controlling others. We believe in empowering them." Captain Martinez approached with another status report. "Admiral, we're receiving surrender offers from 12 Zephyrian systems. Their local commanders want to discuss terms." "What about Imperial Command?" Chen asked. Still refusing to acknowledge the situation. "Chancellor Vextar is claiming this is all temporary disruption that will be contained within days." Chen nodded grimly. "Then, we move to Phase 3. Signal all fleet commanders, it's time to demonstrate what happens when Deathworlders stop holding back." The silence in the Galactic Council chambers was absolute. Chancellor Vextar stared at the holographic displays showing the collapse of 3 major empires within 12 hours. His 6 eyes twitched as new reports arrived every few minutes, each one worse than the last. "Status report," he demanded, his voice barely controlled. "Sir," his aide trembled as he spoke, "we've lost communication with 47 star systems. Industrial output has dropped by 60%. The slave revolts continue to spread, and now some of our own military units are refusing orders." "What do you mean, refusing orders?" "The Third Fleet reported that their crews are questioning why they're defending a system that enslaves billions of sentients. Admiral Colty HYSS has declared his entire battlegroup neutral and withdrawn to deep space." In the Vrex Dominion, similar reports were flooding Hive General Vrexthak's command center. Entire worker castes had stopped following orders, demanding representation in governance decisions that had always been made by the ruling classes alone. More disturbing, some warrior castes were beginning to support the workers' demands. Hive General, her tactical coordinator reported, were receiving requests from 14 system governors. They're asking for permission to negotiate independent agreements with the humans. "Absolutely not." Vrexthak's mandibles clicked angrily. "The Dominion does not negotiate with terrorists. With respect, High General, the humans haven't made any terrorist attacks. They've only shared information and helped people organize peaceful resistance. Our own legal codes don't classify their actions as hostile." The Hive General fell silent. The humans had been devastatingly clever in their approach. By limiting their direct actions to information sharing and peaceful organization, they'd avoided giving the Empire's legal justification for military response. Yet the results were more destructive than any conventional war. Meanwhile, in Altaïran space, Hegemon's RTHYSS faced a crisis beyond anything in Confederacy history. The crystal networks that powered their civilization were failing systematically, not from external attack but from internal sabotage by beings they'd never considered capable of understanding their technology. Hegemon, his technical coordinator's harmonic voice was strained, were losing primary grid connections across 17 worlds. The biological maintenance crews are shutting down systems faster than we can restore them. "Deploy the automated repair systems," ZARTHYSS commanded. "We tried, Hegemon. The humans have somehow corrupted our automated systems as well. They're actually helping the biological crews sabotage our infrastructure." Back aboard the UES Retribution, Admiral Chen received updates from across the galaxy. The Phoenix Network had exceeded every projection, turning years of patient preparation into a coordinated revolution spanning 3 empires simultaneously. Admiral, Captain Martinez announced, "We're receiving a priority communication from Earth Command." President Sarah Chen, no relation to the Admiral despite sharing a surname, appeared on the screen. Behind her stood representatives from dozens of human colonies, along with alien diplomats from the species that had joined humanity's cause. Admiral Chen, the president began, "The provisional governments on former imperial worlds are requesting formal recognition and protection. They want to establish democratic systems, but they're afraid the empires will attempt military reclamation." "What's our response capability?" Chen asked. "Every human world has contributed ships and volunteers. We have over 500 vessels in the fleet now, plus support from our allies." "But, Admiral, the galaxy is watching what we do next. We have a choice to make." Chen understood the implications. Humanity could establish itself as a new galactic power, replacing the old empires with their own hegemony. Or they could do something the galaxy had never seen before. "Signal all fleet commanders," Chen ordered. "Prepare for fleet dispersal. We're not here to rule anyone." Chancellor Vextar's communication request interrupted the planning session. The Zephyrian leader appeared on screen, his arrogance replaced by desperate calculation. "Admiral Chen," Vextar began carefully, "perhaps we can reach an accommodation. The Empire is prepared to offer reparations for the unfortunate incidents that triggered this situation." "Unfortunate incidents?" Chen's voice turned ice cold. "You murdered 2 million human civilians. You blast 3 entire worlds. War has costs," Vextar replied defensively. "But continued violence serves no one. Name your terms." Admiral Chen looked at the data streaming in from across the galaxy. Freed slaves were establishing their own governments. Worker castes were demanding representation. Oppressed species were claiming their independence. The old order was dying, and something new was being born. "My terms are simple," Chen said finally. "Total dissolution of the Zephyrian Empire as a political entity. All enslaved populations to be freed immediately. All conquered worlds to be granted independence. And war crimes tribunals for every imperial leader involved in genocide." Vextar's eyes widened in shock. "That's not negotiation, that's complete capitulation. The Empire cannot agree to cease existing." "Then, the Empire will cease existing anyway," Chen replied calmly. "The difference is whether it happens peacefully or not." To prove his point, the Admiral activated a galaxy-wide transmission. His image appeared on screens throughout human space and, on every world where the Phoenix Network had established communications. "People of the galaxy," Chen began, "today marks the end of the old order. For millennia, powerful empires have decided the fate of entire species. They've enslaved billions, destroyed worlds, and convinced everyone that their rule was natural and inevitable." The Admiral paused, looking directly into the camera. "But, we've proven something today. We've shown that ordinary beings, working together, can topple any tyranny. The question now is what we build to replace it." Across the galaxy, beings who had never imagined freedom was possible watched a human admiral outline a vision of voluntary cooperation between species, democratic governance, and respect for individual rights. It was a dream most had never dared to have. "The choice is yours," Chen concluded. "Build the future you want to live in." 1 year later, Admiral Chen stood in the observation deck of Liberty Station, humanity's new diplomatic outpost built in the neutral zone between former empires. Through the massive windows, he could see ships from dozens of species docking peacefully, former slaves now governing their own worlds, worker castes that had overthrown their hierarchies, and even reformed imperial fleets that had chosen democracy over tyranny. The final report, Admiral, Captain Martinez handed him a data tablet containing the year's summary. Chen read through the statistics with satisfaction. The Zephyrian Empire had officially dissolved 6 months ago, its territory now divided among 43 independent democratic worlds. The Vrex Dominion had reformed into the Free Vrex Republic, with representatives from all castes participating in governance. Most surprisingly, even the Alto-Iran Confederacy had adapted, establishing the first crystal biological hybrid government in galactic history. "Sir, the War Crimes Tribunal has reached its verdict," Martinez continued. "Chancellor Vextar and his senior staff have been found guilty of genocide. The sentence is life imprisonment with mandatory service in humanitarian reconstruction efforts. And the others? Queen Vrez chose exile to the Outer Rim. Hegemon's RTHYSS has been stripped of his Matrix privileges but allowed to remain in Altuiran space under supervision. Most of the lower-level officials have been granted amnesty in exchange for cooperation with the new governments. Chen nodded. The humans could have demanded executions, but they'd chosen rehabilitation over revenge. It was a lesson the galaxy was still learning to understand. Admiral, the communications officer called from across the deck, were receiving a priority transmission from the Galactic Coordination Council. They're ready to vote on the Terra proposal. The Terra proposal was humanity's plan for galactic governance, not a return to empire, but a voluntary association of independent worlds coordinating on trade, defense, and mutual aid. It had taken months of negotiation between hundreds of newly free civilizations. Chen activated the main display, showing the council chambers on New Nexus, the democratic space station that had replaced the old imperial capital. Representatives from over 300 worlds filled the assembly, species that had never been allowed to speak now debating as equals. The vote on Proposal 2157A is now open, announced Coordinator Velterra, a former Zephyrian slave who had been elected to lead the new galactic government. All worlds in favor of establishing the Galactic Democratic Federation? Green lights began appearing on the voting board. World after world signaled approval, former enemies now choosing cooperation. The final tally was overwhelming, 287 in favor, 23 against, 34 abstentions. The proposal passes, Velterra announced. The Galactic Democratic Federation is hereby established, with voluntary membership open to all worlds that guarantee basic rights to their citizens. Cheers erupted across the assembly hall, transmitted to celebration gatherings on thousands of worlds. Chen felt a hand on his shoulder and turned to see President Sarah Chen, who had arrived on Liberty Station for the historic vote. "We did it, Admiral," she said quietly. "We actually changed everything." "Not we, Madam President. They did it." Chen gestured toward the celebrating representatives on the screen. "We just showed them it was possible." A new communication request chimed in. The face that appeared surprised everyone present. It was Captain Colt HYSS, the former Zephyrian admiral who had declared his fleet neutral during the revolution. "Admiral Chen," Colt HYSS's translated voice was humble, "I wanted to personally thank you for what humanity has accomplished. When my species first encountered yours, we saw only primitive warmongers from a harsh world." The alien officer paused, his expression thoughtful. "We were right about you being from a harsh world. But we completely misunderstood what that meant. We thought it would make you cruel and aggressive. Instead, it taught you to value cooperation, to protect the weak, and to never give up fighting for what's right." Chen accepted the thanks graciously. "Captain, your decision to stand with the resistance helped save thousands of lives. You and officers like you proved that anyone can choose to do the right thing, regardless of their past." "Perhaps," Colt HYSS replied, "but it took Deathworlders to show us what the right thing actually looked like." As the communication ended, Chen returned his attention to the Galactic Assembly. The representatives were now debating the establishment of educational exchanges, mutual defense treaties, and cultural sharing programs. Species that had been enemies for millennia were planning joint exploration missions to uncharted regions of the galaxy. "Admiral, there's one more item," Captain Martinez said, consulting his tablet. "The Federation Council wants to offer you the position of Supreme Coordinator. Every member world has endorsed the nomination." Chen shook his head immediately. "Decline with thanks. The whole point of this revolution was to end the concentration of power in single individuals or species." "What about the Earth Defense Fleet?" Martinez asked. "The Federation is requesting continued human participation in their Security Council. We'll provide advisors and training," Chen decided. "But the fleet returns to Earth. Our job was never to rule the galaxy, it was to free it." President Chen smiled at the Admiral's response. "The history books will remember this as the day the Deathworlders saved galactic civilization." "No," Admiral Chen corrected, looking out at the peaceful ships from dozens of worlds. "This will be remembered as the day galactic civilization saved itself. We just reminded everyone that freedom is always possible, if you're willing to fight for it." On the display, the Federation representatives were already at work, establishing committees for trade regulation, scientific cooperation, and crisis response. Former enemies were volunteering to work together on refugee assistance and planetary restoration. The galaxy was learning to govern itself democratically for the first time in recorded history. A priority alert chimed on the tactical display. Chen read the message and smiled. It was from deep space monitoring stations. They'd detected signals from unexplored regions of the galaxy, possibly indicating new intelligent civilizations. Looks like we'll have more neighbors soon, Chen observed. I wonder what they'll think of our new federation. Captain Martinez checked his own displays. Should we prepare first contact protocols? Yes, Chen replied, but not the kind the old empires used. We'll prepare welcome packages, technology, knowledge, and an invitation to join as equals if they choose. He turned back to the window, watching as ships departed for their home worlds, carrying news of the Federation's formation to billions of beings who had never imagined such freedom was possible. The Deathworlders had indeed settled the score with the galaxy's empires. But, more importantly, they'd proven that the strongest force in the universe wasn't military power or technological superiority. It was the simple belief that every intelligent being deserved the right to choose their own destiny. As the last ship cleared the station's traffic control zone, Admiral Chen felt a profound satisfaction. Humanity had faced the galaxy's greatest powers and emerged victorious not through conquest, but through the even more difficult achievement of inspiring others to claim their own freedom. The age of galactic empires was over. The age of cooperation had begun. And, somewhere in the depths of space, humanity's newest allies were already planning the next phase of galactic civilization, a future where no world would ever kneel to tyrants again. The Deathworlders had taught the galaxy that true strength wasn't about dominating others. It was about empowering them to become